It's the Infinite Podcast. Go tell your friends. It's the Infinite Podcast. My God, it never ends. It's the Infinite Podcast with Rob and Porky.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite Podcast, the podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom. For movies, comics, TV shows, video games, we got you covered. I'm Rob. I'm here, as always, with Court. Court, we took a couple weeks off, and now we're back.
We are back.
We're back with breaking news.
We are back with breaking news. Somebody get the fish from SpongeBob. We got breaking news.
The Situation Room.
The Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer. with Mission Impossible's Wolf Blitzer. With Cinema's Wolf Blitzer.
He is Cinema's Wolf Blitzer. He's been in things.
He's been in things.
But yeah, we do have breaking news surrounding Marvel and Blade. And
it's never coming out.
It's not good news. So Blade has been delayed indefinitely, and there are no plans for a new release date, which is about as bad a news that you could think.
Yep. And I mean, my first thing and my first thought is to Mahershala Ali. It's like,
I mean, he's gonna walk away from this at this point, right?
I think he probably already walked away. That's why they delayed it indefinitely. So, I haven't. Well, now that's not going to happen because of the Lanterns thing. But I do have there is a scenario where Mahershala steps away and they get a new Blade. That's the only thing I can think of. But you made such a big deal out of this, and I don't know if we're going to mention it, but the way that Agatha's been cooking the last couple of weeks, like, we were not expecting that show to be that good. And just your magic side of the MCU, that kind of corner has been, to your point, maybe the most stable in the last 4 years. Has been that magical, or not the magical, just the
occult.
Yeah.
Like the occult side of the Marvel universe, between like the Doctor Strange movies, all the stuff they've done with the Scarlet Witch across multiple projects now. Werewolf by Night was really, really good. So yeah, I feel like as far as like consistency, they're like occult kind of spooky, kind of magical, mystical, that type of realm. That corner has been really solid. And it just makes me wonder, I think they're just going to roll the character into something else. I don't think they're going to do...
Do you not do Midnight Suns, or do you just worry about Secret Wars right now? Because I think this was also a waiting game. I think they jumped the gun and were like, all right, Mahershala Ali, two-time Oscar winner Mahershala Ali, High Cinema's Mahershala Ali said, I want to do a Marvel thing. Like, put him in a Marvel thing. Doesn't matter what he is. And he's Blade. And it should be simple. You would think, how simple could this be? And apparently it's just not. Apparently this is such a difficult process to be had. But I wonder, because I know James Samuels was attached to this for a second to take over the directing helm, which would have been awesome if you saw The Harder They Fall. That would have been an awesome choice. But I have a feeling the delayed indefinitely. I think Mahershala Ali said, I'm done. I can't believe you guys did this to me. And I'll also double down too. I will not be surprised if Mahershala skips to the other side of town and goes with James Gunn in the DCU.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, he hasn't, what's he been in recently?
I don't think I'm trying to think of what he's done. What's the movie on Netflix? When the World Was Ending?
Yeah.
That's the last thing I can remember him off the top of my head. He had that other show on Apple TV as well too, or the movie on Apple TV, but, like I said, that's two-time Oscar winner Mahershala Ali. And you know what I think too? I think he was promised things by Marvel, and I also think that he probably spent a lot of his time and mental capacity on this project to make sure it's right. I mean, you're bringing out a legacy that Wesley Snipes owned for a little bit, and then Wesley Snipes comes back in the last year. It's frustrating, for lack of a better term, that, we talk about projects being a little bit more difficult. Obviously, we're not experts on this, but, using, context clues and, deductions, you can kind of assume that a Blade project shouldn't be too overtly complicated to make.
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about another thing in a couple minutes. Like, that people are making vampire things, and it doesn't seem to be overly complicated.
Right.
So we're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. But yeah, I mean, this just spells to me that they're going to shut down the idea of making a Blade movie and just roll him into something else.
Or if they even roll him into something else, maybe they're going to wait for a couple of years. Maybe they wait until I mean, it's 2024. It's about to be 2025. We know the slate through, 2027, or most of the slate through 2027. We might not see this character until, 2028, 2029. That's not Wesley Snipes if he were to come back in Secret Wars.
I was going to say, I have this, I guess it is a fear, that if they do roll the character into, a Midnight Suns, I think they would just use Wesley Snipes at this point.
Now, yeah, because if you were to do Midnight Suns in between this and Secret Wars, you would probably do a multiversal version. So,
and I mean, he looks, to be honest, he looks, Blade's a vampire, first of all, right. So, he's kind of this ageless thing. So, you could just conceivably, if Wesley Snipes wanted to do it, you could conceivably just make him.
Yep.
Because what's he doing?
Right. You can get Ghost Rider out of this as well too, and you have two options for that. Obviously, their first choice would be Nicolas Cage, but you still have Gabriel Luna, right? Mm-hmm. In the Winds too. So you have options to pull if they want to do this idea. The overall, it's a shame. It is very a shame that. I don't know the behind the scenes of what happened. I don't want to speculate on anything like that, but it's just, from my opinion, it's tough to see somebody like Mahershala Ali not be able to get that crown in the MCU and really be a pillar at that point too. I mean, I just don't understand. And the actors that they had in there too. And I guarantee you, Aaron Pierre probably took lanterns after this movie fell through. So some of their agents probably knew that this movie wasn't gonna happen at some point too. Yeah. Because he was supposed to play one of the villains in this movie, probably the main villain, and then Delroy Lindo in this movie as well. And, it just feels like, I don't know why this couldn't been prioritized or maybe cut into a show. I don't understand why this was so difficult.
I don't know. And I mean, I guess we'll never know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a shame because I think everyone was really looking forward to seeing.
Oh my God. Remember the 2019 Comic-Con announcement?
Man, that was 5 years ago.
It was 5 years ago.
And nothing. Nothing came of it. That
movie should have came out plausibly at the very latest 2023. And I mean the absolute latest.
I mean, not to be the both sides of this, but if this was a DC thing, people would be like, they're done. Yep. You know what I mean? This is it. Yada yada. But because it's Marvel, it's probably going to be one of those things that just kind of is a blip as soon as the Daredevil trailer comes out. Right. Everyone's gonna forget about this, which is unfortunate because they should be held to a better standard than letting this project rot for 5 years. Yeah. Essentially. But moving on. Speaking of vampires, Christopher Nolan has come out, but it has been revealed, or reported, I suppose, that Christopher Nolan's next film is getting ready to rock and roll, and it is. Tell me if you've heard this plot before.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's a vampire film. Okay, set in the 1920s.
Is it Ron Coogler's new movie?
No, you would think that, but no. This is going to be Christopher Nolan's new movie, reportedly starring Tom Holland and Christopher Nolan favorite Matt Damon. Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool, and I mean, from this junction, I'm assuming that Tom Holland's going to be the main character of this thing, and he's going to keep utilizing Matt Damon in the same way, where Matt Damon's kind of he could be your supporting character, to aid your main character. Yep. Shout out to Tom Holland, who I think people tend to forget he's an actual real world really good actor too. And I think something like this is something he needed at this point too. So you got both sides of the coin. I mean, his next couple of years, I'm glad he got to take that break. I know he talked about, some struggles with alcoholism. He was having some tough personal times. So it's nice to see he got to take that break. Zendaya is his girlfriend. That's awesome. And now, he's ready to get back into the fold of Marvel. He's ready to get back with one of the greatest directors to ever live, Christopher Nolan, to be the main character. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Nolan is one of those, obviously, he's one of those directors that we've talked about in previous weeks where as soon as his thing gets announced, people start getting excited for it. I mean, Oppenheimer just became one of the biggest movies of all time. And I mean, the guy's resume is pretty bulletproof. So, and this is, it's following the Nolan trend of you do the historical thing and then you do the kind of wacky thing. Yep. So this is the kind of wacky thing.
Yeah. And I guess he had avenues too. And I mean, in my head, I was thinking about this too. There's probably an alternate future where he did Tenet too. Because I think people were clamoring for that to get the back half of that story or the unback half of that story. What's Tenet 2 about? Or what's Tenet about? We need a 3 week period to discuss Tenet, but no. At the end of the day, like you said, he is I announce something, people will be there. And I was talking about this too. His soundscape for Oppenheimer unlocked the door to do a horror project. That's where I'll keep it out, because, if you really want to get technical about things, of what the definition of horror is, Nolan has that unlocked, and it's been the last 2 movies that he did were kind of where he's really started to dive into it, especially in Oppenheimer too. So, this is going to be really interesting. I'm going to call it now. Cillian Murphy's going to be in this movie too. He'll call him for something.
I would say so.
But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see him dive into horrore as well.
I can't wait for more Christopher Nolan movie casting announcements that we're going to do in the future.
Oh, we're going to have to lead with it each time.
Every week. As soon as we find out what the title of this movie is.
Anybody else you'd like to see in this movie?
Oh, I mean, I don't even know. Like, it could literally be anyone.
I'm trying to think of somebody that would be cool in here. A horror movie?
Michael B. Jordan.
No. Which twin is it? It's the triplet. I feel like Oscar Isaac would be cool in something like this. I don't know why his name just popped into my head. I feel like he can play that horror element really well.
Mahershala Ali.
No. Yeah, he's looking. Yeah, maybe. Hear me out. Let Mahershala Ali play Martian Manhunter.
Oh, that's interesting. I'd be into that, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like that. Batman and Dune are going to be filming, and Greg Fraser will be apparently available for both, much to the delight of both Matt Reeves and Denis Villeneuve, I'm sure.
And Court.
Probably much more to the delight of Matt Reeves, because it feels like Greg Fraser was going to do Dune regardless.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at like you can talk landscape directors, you look landscape cinematographers. I mean, it's Greg Fraser is quickly turning into like the modern auteur of cinematography, because it was Roger Deakins, and then it's kind of like it almost feels in a weird way like Roger Deakins passed the torch to Greg Fraser, because it's like Greg Fraser was the first one to kind of revolutionize the volume and make sure it was something that was credible to 2 projects, and much to our point that we've talked about before, that other people feel like they don't know how to get the full scale of it. And it's like, no, you actually still have to approach this like a film. You can't just put the volume back there and just expect things to happen. I mean, he is one of the greatest that's ever going to live to do what he does. So to get him for both is just, I mean, nerdy me is like, thank God. And I was thinking about that too, especially like you said, for the Batman. That was the one that I was concerned for. I mean, the Penguin looks good. It actually looks really good. It's a really well shot show. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's just little quirks that you can't get from the person that's behind there. So like we always talk about, it's not about the thing, it's about the people doing the thing. Mm-hmm. So getting Greg Fraser back for Batman 2, I think that movie's going to be absolutely stellar.
Mm-hmm. Interstellar.
Come on, man.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think obviously it worked out for, like I said, more so for Matt Reeves, because like I said, he was going to do Dune regardless, it felt like. So
same studio, yes, both Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Do you think that they made sure that happened that way for Greg? Do you think Greg Fraser moves mountains like that? I was thinking about that this morning.
Well, in the wake of what happened with the Joker, I think Warner Brothers probably needs all the wins they can get right now. So yeah. Another.
That puts we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but that puts a lot of pressure on James Gunn. Like even more added pressure that he wasn't probably banking on having.
Yep. So Luca Guadagnino is going to be making a remake of American Psycho.
Yes. Good stuff. Now, it's awesome because he's such a dynamic filmmaker in the sense too, and it's crazy because he's been doing this for a little bit, but it's the last 7 years that he's really hit the gas in his career. So I mean, Call Me by Your Name, Bones and all, and then Challengers. I mean, this guy is absolutely incredible, and I mean, Challengers this year is going to be up for Oscars. Obviously, Call Me by Your Name was up for Oscars. I mean, this is probably going to be the same thing in my opinion in American Psycho. I know. See, here's the thing. So, Luca Guadagnino does the thing where he goes to Italy and he meets with an actor, and he did it with Timothée Chalamet. You know who he did it with, and who I think is going to actually play the
American Psycho.
Play the American Psycho. It's probably going to be Jacob Elordi because he met with him. There's the pictures.
I could see that.
I can see it too. You know who'd be fun? And I was thinking about it this morning. Lewis Pullman would be fun for something like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is we're in this is the era we're in remake era. We're that old now. We're remaking films that we're aware of. And that makes it incredibly difficult. Obviously, American Psycho, one of the greatest movies of all time. Christian Bale obviously puts up an all-time performance as Patrick Bateman. So I think with this and any remake, I think you have to immediately establish that you're not trying to replicate what was, and you're trying to do like your own thing. I think that that should be the through line for any project, regardless of genre, regardless of platform. I think that needs to be priority A, is not to replicate what was, but you have to put your own spin on it. And
that's the bones and all in the room of Luca Guadagnino's career. I mean, there's a weird sense in that movie, and it's oxymoronic, but I guess it's why that movie works so well. That movie's tender. That movie has a tender undertone to it, and I mean, we're talking about a movie about, that has not elements. This movie is about, cannibals, for lack of a better term, but something like that you're going to need. That's why that tenderness, and I mean, Call Me By Your Name has that through and through. That's why you get somebody like Luca Guadagnino, because you need to sell it. You need to sell, like, that this absolute psychopath is somehow you can root for, which is funny of the source material we're talking about for this week.
Just going further into, like, I'm thinking of Christian Bale's look in American Psycho specifically. Yep. Do you think he would tap Chalamet for this?
No. No.
Because they do work together.
Not at all.
Quite frequently.
I don't think so.
Because they kind of got a look.
I think he wants somebody new. I think he wants a crack at somebody new. And like I said, I feel like the way Jacob Elordi's career is going, this would be the perfect thing. Because he's like, he's this tall, like, pretty boy that everybody loves right now. I feel like he would be he is a good choice to play Patrick Bateman.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea. I just have in here The Running Man.
Yes. So Glenn Powell's new movie, that Edgar Wright's back.
Yes.
Channel favorite, yes. Edgar Wright's back. So, obviously we've been talking the last few weeks about, how incredible Glenn Powell is. I mean, his birthday was yesterday, just turned 36. So happy birthday to Glenn Powell as well too. But, Glenn Powell is getting that movie star praise too, of like, Glenn Powell is in a thing, you go see the thing. And I mean, I'm overtly excited to see
Josh Brolin also in this movie.
Well, yeah, Josh Brolin's in this movie. Lee Pace is in this movie as well too, and Katie O'Brien. And if Katie O'Brien and I were to get in a fist fight, pray for me, because she would annihilate me. But yeah, and then they also just added Jane Lawson, who played Bella Real in The Batman as well too, to play his love interest in this movie. So I'm super excited. I don't know what this is going to be about. I don't know if it's from something.
I think this is a remake of the.
That's right.
That 1987 film. I think it came out in 1987. Kind of like a cult classic. Right. The Running Man.
Yep. But I mean, in Edgar Wright we trust. I mean, you look at Edgar Wright's body of work. Edgar Wright's, like, he's almost to that Wes Anderson range where it's like, once you know people are copying the thing that you do, that you're good at the thing that you do, that's where Edgar Wright's at. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to see something like this too.
Yeah, and I mean, it's borrowing kind of, take your charismatic lead. Like Schwarzenegger was the lead in the 1987 film. So you're basically just swapping out Schwarzenegger for Glenn Powell.
Yep.
And Roland obviously will be playing the villain. So, I'm really looking forward to it. Man, more bad news. So couple bad news items on the video game adaptation front. So Insomniac paired the launch of Spider-Man 2 on PC with the news that they will not be pursuing any additional DLC for Spider-Man 2, which I am surprised by, but also I think it was a result of the leak that happened. However many months ago, I think Insomniac was just like, you know what? No. Like, we're not doing it. Like, the leak came out. There were plans for like a Venom thing. There were plans for obviously a Carnage DLC, a couple other DLCs. And I think because as a result of that leak, I think Insomniac just shut it down. And they're just washing their hands of Spider-Man 2, which did well. It wasn't as monumental as the first one, as far as, sales, as far as just,
reception.
And I think they just made a decision that they're just kind of done with it. And fair play to them. They're obviously working on the Wolverine game.
Yep.
And like I said, I think they just decided that it's probably just not worth it. And any DLC plans that they did have, they could potentially roll into Spider-Man 3.
That's exactly what I think is going to happen. They're just going to remix everything. Maybe you start the opening mission with the Carnage DLC, you make that the big opening mission. And then there's a little Sandman Easter eggs in Spider-Man 2. Maybe you do that with Carnage throughout the third game, and then you just focus on, like, I think I talked about it too. And it's funny we said that too, because I think we were comparing Jedi Survivor to Spider-Man 2, and, you know, as much as I really like that Spider-Man 2 game, there's reasons why Jedi Survivor even kicks it up a notch. That game gets so personal. That game gets overtly personal. And I think it's that sole focus is what drives it through that third act of that game. To Spider-Man 2, it still has that, you know, those personal bits, but I feel like it's a little too broad. Like, it still feels so broad at the end. There's so much happening too. Your brain is so clogged by the time you hit, like, the final sequence in that game of what you're trying to do. The city's turning upside, like, it gets so crazy, but Jedi Survivor feels very, very tailored to what you're trying to do to get after.
Yeah, I mean, retroactively and having a lot of distance, I have not played Spider-Man 2 again since it came out, and just having a lot of distance, I think there is an element of the game. They packed a lot into it.
Yeah.
And credit to them. Like they it was like one of those things where, like, we're gonna push this thing, like, to the boundaries of what you think is possible. We're gonna let you switch seamlessly between Peter and Miles. But I think the story did suffer a bit because of that. Like, I think they tried to give Peter and Miles, like, two different yet also interwoven arcs, and I feel like they just didn't give themselves, I don't know if it was because of them or it was because of Sony kind of pushing them a little bit to like get this thing out. I think that game definitely could have benefited from a little bit more development time. And I think another reason they're doing this, and another reason why I think they're going to roll a lot of these DLC ideas into Spider-Man 3 is because I think they're going to take their time with Spider-Man 3, and I think they're going to give us, like, a game, like, to remember, like a bona fide game of the year contender. Like, I think they're a very self-aware studio. I think they recognize kind of the, you know, the criticisms, justified or not. I think they're aware of the criticisms of Spider-Man 2, and they're going to really take their time with Spider-Man 3 and give it pretty much give it everything that they have. Is what I think they're gearing up for. And then in other news, so the God of War live action series at Amazon has hit a couple of speed bumps. And by a couple of speed bumps, I mean that the showrunner and multiple producers have left the show after multiple script rights that apparently Amazon was very happy with. But the studio just wants to move in a different direction. And I'm curious of what that different direction could possibly be.
I'm at a crossroads here because I'm thinking that this is kind of a creative difference in the sense of, I have a feeling that Amazon wants it a little bit more getting towards that Fallout line of, like, this thing is very gritty and graphic, but then maybe some of those creators, like, no, we need to make this more, you know what I'm thinking? We need to make this more of, like, a superhero thing, how we approach superhero things. Like, Kratos needs to be like this. And I'm like, you probably want to pick that Fallout lane because Fallout and The Last of Us are the best two video game adaptations that we have gotten. Like, don't take away any of the brutality. Don't take any of that away. And maybe it's also because they can't crack which God of War they want to pick too.
I think that's part of it. I think they are stuck at a crossroads between doing the Greek stuff and doing the Norse stuff.
We said it one week. Why don't you do both? You do the Norse thing. You start at God of War 2018. That's the freshest in people's mind. And then you retroactively have flashbacks to Kratos being an absolute menace for the Greek pantheon. I think that would be a great approach to that game. And then as much as, you know, Atreus is learning about his father, also Kratos is learning about himself or relearning about himself and formulating those things to become a better person and a better father. Yeah, I agree. I think it's just interesting that they got through multiple script rewrites that, you know, everyone seemed pretty happy with, and then they're just like,
we're going to start this thing over from the ground up.
And maybe this is for the best as well, too. Because obviously the success of Fallout really dictates, and then Amazon Prime as a whole, and we probably got one more piece of news about Amazon itself, is like...
And they have that secret level show coming out that Kratos is going to be in. One of the episodes is part of like a PlayStation-focused episode of that show, which I still don't know what that show is. But I'm still interested to find out. And then we have Dune Prophecy. Yep. Dune Prophecy got a trailer. Best way I can describe this trailer is spooky Game of Thrones.
Spooky Game of Thrones. It does look technically sound. It looks solid. I mean, I don't have much. I don't have a lot. I'm just, this is one of those things. I'm going to take the Penguin approach. First you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention. Like, I kind of want to see this world rounded out. I want to see how much this is going to influence anything, and then, vice versa, like which way it's going to work.
Yep.
And, that's why the Penguin is working so overtly well right now, is because it is its own entity.
Yep.
But it is such a great lesson in how you understand this operates in the universe. But I have to own this. Like, we're going to own this thing as our own, but it's still going to work inside the confines of the universe. But we'll break where we need to break.
Yeah, I mean, I told you when we talked about this show, like, it's going to be interesting to see what Dune's actual kind of like staying power is, and what Dune's popularity truly is, or if it's just a result of these two really great movies that came out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then you have all these A-list actors on top of that.
So are people really inherently interested enough in the lore of Dune to justify this show?
Yeah, because, full transparency, Dune's lore is not easy. That is a tough lore.
That's what I mean. It's not like a Marvel thing.
Yep.
Or even Star Wars.
And when we reviewed Dune 2, it's why it made Dune 1, in my opinion. I still thought Dune 1 was close to a masterclass, in my opinion. I still think it is, but Dune 2 made Dune 1 retroactively better, and then vice versa, because Dune 1 simplified all that crazy, insane lore and made it, these are the things you need to remember. Once we hit 2, it's just like a good video game. We're running. Like, we're running on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm super interested. I mean, the trailer looked good. Like I said, it gave like that Game of Thrones type of vibe in space. And like I said, I'm interested to see how it pans out. Daredevil got an official release date via New York Comic Con. Obviously, it's a Comic-Con, so like people are obviously going to leak trailers online and release dates and such. So March 4th is going to be the Daredevil release date. And there was another trailer shown. Not much different than the first trailer. It still strikes that tone. And it just seems like they recognize what made the Netflix show so popular and so good. And it feels like they're not mirroring that, but they are trying to capture that spirit. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, it is my favorite character. This is my favorite Marvel character that there's ever been. So obviously I probably have a little bit more bias, but I saw Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox kind of talking about the show and the approach. And I mean, I'm big on same page. If you have everybody, it doesn't matter tone. It doesn't matter if everybody's on the same page of this is the thing, that's inherently going to give you at least one leg up. Funny enough that Venom's getting these reviews right now, because it just seems like everybody's on the same page of what type of movie they're making. Like, that's going to make your movie just the slightest bit better. Let it be the slightest bit better. But at the end of the day, I cannot be more excited. I thought this wasn't going to come out for a little longer than that. So March 4th, I'll take that any day of the week as well, too.
Yeah.
I'm chomping at the bitch to see that full HD trailer as well, too. But I mean, this might be one of the biggest ones they can get for being like, not like event television, like serialized television that Disney Plus can probably use. Yeah,
this is the one. This is the staple. This is going to be the one that propels Disney Plus forward into 2025. Is going to be this show. I don't think there's any doubt about that. It also is, to the Blade point that we talked about earlier. It is kind of like it does give Marvel a little bit of justification, a little bit of rope. If this Daredevil show is as good as it appears to be, in the sense that this show was also mired by production problems. It was rewritten. It was torn down, started over from the beginning, and that got people really nervous. And now this is the finished product.
Right.
But the difference between this and Blade is, I think with Daredevil, I think it was this, for some reason on Marvel's part, this hesitancy to kind of lean on the Netflix stuff. Well, they wanted to create something different.
Well, also at that point, there was no sense of don't do anything R-rated for Disney.
Right.
Don't do anything like that and put that on Disney Plus. That's a big no-no. And then once we heard Deadpool and Wolverine was going to be R-rated, and then obviously the way it works in Hollywood, they know, and people talk, like studios talk. So like they probably knew, and like Kevin Feige knew he was like early Deadpool and Wolverine. They probably were starting to show clips after they shot. They were like, okay, this is going to work. Like, and then obviously $1 billion later, they're like, oh, do whatever you want R-rated at this point. You can do whatever the heck you want. Everybody will be fine with it. So yeah. I think there was an element of that as well, too, of like understanding we do the Netflix gritty stuff. And like, what was the first leaks that in the original script he wasn't going to suit up for like 4 episodes? Like, no, like that's
and
like
none of the returning casts were going to come back besides like, Charlie Cox and Mrs. D'Onofrio.
And thank God, and that's a good idea. If somebody probably walked in the room and looked, what the heck are you guys doing?
You don't overcomplicate it.
Exactly. Like, why are you reinventing the wheel? Like, this worked for
literally reinventing the wheel, yeah.
Like, this worked for a reason. Just keep doing the thing.
Keep doing that.
Get innovative. Now you get innovative with what the structure you have. Now you can get innovative with what you want to do.
Yeah, just get everybody back, slot them in, and let them keep doing Daredevil. Like, just keep letting them do Daredevil. So yeah, I'm super excited for this show. And then the last bit of major news that we have to cover, because we didn't get to talk about it, is Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre both are official for Lanterns as Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Thoughts?
Outstanding. Outstanding. It's funny because obviously I'm really, really, really excited about Aaron Pierre to the point where I called it before he was even rumored to be in it. I said Aaron, and it was after I watched Rebel Ridge. I was like, oh yeah, well, I mean, it's same kind of concept that I feel for Glenn Powell when he's going to be like one of the next up movie stars as well too. It sucks he couldn't do Blade though. Like I feel like being a villain in the MCU on top of that could have helped him a bit. But
well, it might be better.
Yeah, it might be better than he's not at this point. But,
it might be better for him.
But I mean, nonetheless, Aaron Pierre, obviously I was excited. I called that before. The one I was super keen about was Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan, because I know the approach they're going to take. I know what you're doing, James. You're getting the Justice League Unlimited lineup to be it makes all the sense in the world.
It makes total sense.
It makes all the sense in the world. That makes complete sense to get the Justice League Unlimited lineup. It's a different approach than we've ever seen before. I mean, we've only gotten one. It's crazy that we've gotten 4 Avengers movies, soon to be 6, before we're going to get a second Justice League movie with that's a more popular team.
And it's kind of crazy too, like the way, if that's the route that he's going, and I think it is kind of crazy that he's kind of like building it backwards.
Yeah.
Like besides Superman, right? Like he has a Superman, which is obviously, I think, by design. Mm-hmm. I think he wanted Superman first, but then he's also kind of building. Now he's going like if you look at the Justice League roster from like on like a spectrum, mm-hmm. like yeah, like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash is like this end of the spectrum, and then like Green Lantern's like in there in the mm-hmm. middle, and then you get to like Martian Manhunter, Hawkgirl, Cyborg, etc. Mm-hmm. And like he's building that back half, and he's leaving the Wonder Woman, Flash, and Batman spots open. Mm-hmm. And I also think that's by design.
Yep. I think he wants to see how it plays, and I think he's going through the Batman one I think the Batman one and the Wonder Woman one are the two that he's super like, I need the Batman
needs to nail it.
He needs to nail that Batman one because A,
you have another Batman already,
and B, there's another Batman running that a lot of people, including myself, are like super keen to, like, that's their favorite.
Oh,
Batman.
and Aquaman he hasn't filled yet either.
Which I think he's going to hold on that. I think he's going to hold on Aquaman for a little bit just because I mean, that was the last DC EU movie, was Aquaman, too. So he's probably going to hold, and Jason Momoa is like a name, so he's probably going to hold a bit. But obviously, like I said, that Kyle Chandler pick is so good. That's such a good pick.
It's great, yeah.
Because they're going to do a little bit of a mentorship aspect of it as well, too. I think that's so cool. And the true detective aspect, and I mean, look at his approach to Peacemaker. Every time I see, like, you know, your Schneider fans, like, on Twitter being like, you know, he's going to ruin the DCU. I said, when would we ever get that idea that he was going to do that? I mean, he turned in one of the best Marvel movies. He turned in 2 of the best Marvel movies that we've ever seen. Then he just follows up with the Suicide Squad. And to that point, the best movie in the DCEU, in the DCEU, that's the best movie.
Which?
The Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I think so.
And then he follows it up with the character that we hated from that movie in full 180s that character, with John Cena 180s that character.
Yeah.
And then he goes back and makes Guardians 3, and now we're concerned? I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous.
I'm full at the point, and especially once I get that first trailer for Superman, which he said it's not close enough to be like, but it is close enough to like get myself excited. That's what he said at New York Comic Con.
I mean, it's gonna be the Super Bowl, right?
That's what I'm assuming. February for July.
Yeah.
It's either that or he's going to do the holiday season. He's going to do like November.
I think they're just going to hold it for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Super Bowl would be that's a good.
It's a Superman movie, and
that's
like they're gonna.
Yep, they're gonna, and I guarantee you they're gonna market the heck out of that movie.
Yes,
they're gonna and like and make sure it's like this,
especially now.
Yeah, this is the hard stop. This is it. Like this is the new direction forward. But I mean, on the Green Lantern front, like. That shows, like, you made a good point, like, something's looming in the winds. Like, this is intricate setup that I think he's doing. Like, he's like, there's some conspiracy, which I think is going to end up being the Black Lantern Corps, like, just one murder that the Green Lanterns have to get the Guardians on always give, like, can you guys go check that out? No, we don't want to do it.
Yeah, I think it's super smart. And like I said, I just continue to be encouraged by what he's building over there. Because ... we are finally going to talk about Joker 2. Joker 2 Folie à Deux released a few weeks ago in theaters, the much anticipated sequel to Joker that starred obviously Joaquin Phoenix, won him an Oscar, accolades galore, $1 billion, critical acclaim, and that naturally led to, the disease of more in the case of Warner Brothers was like, hey, Todd Phillips, can you make us another one of these? And Todd Phillips said, I don't really want to. And they were like, here's $200 million. And Todd Phillips said, all right, I'll do it. And this
Which
movie,
I still think he didn't want to do it.
No, and this movie has one of the most interesting production arcs I think I've ever seen. It stars obviously Joaquin Phoenix returns, and most notably Lady Gaga enters the foray as Harley Quinn, and I think this movie again, it had like that oscillation of anticipation in the sense that like, all right, we're doing Joker and Harley, cool, like I think that's a great idea. We're gonna do a musical.
That's where you lost some people.
You lost some people. You didn't lose me because I thought that could be a super cool idea.
I don't understand because of all the comic book characters that you can find, and if you were going to do a musical, the Joker is the number one choice that you would ever think to do that. That's in my opinion, that was like, I was immediately like, okay, now I'm actually really into this. That makes the most sense out of anything.
Yeah.
But it just takes away your modern male sensibilities if there's music.
Yeah. We got that first trailer, which was fine, but also was the trailer where I saw and I went, I don't know. People were freaking out about the shot with the lipstick over the jail window, and people were like, this is cinema. And I'm like, is it? I was like, I don't know what this movie is. And then I'm trying to piece together the timeline.
That second trailer happened.
Yes.
Oh no, was this? No. The Todd Phillips stuff. Yes.
Yes, the Todd Phillips stuff. When they were like, oh, isn't it cool you're making a musical? And he's like, it's not a musical. And I'm like, isn't it?
Guys, I think that's a musical.
The Todd Phillips stuff. Yeah. So, and what we later found out is that he refused collaboration with DC.
Well, yeah, with Gunn and Safran. I think they only said that one liaison was the only one he was kind of in contact with, but like Gunn and Peter Safran, he was like,
which goes to my bigger conspiracy theory about this movie that I think we both agree on. That we'll talk about when we start talking about the movie. Then there was the Venice Film Festival thing. This movie screened, and people were like, this movie's no good. Yeah. Yep. Like just flat out. Like like people were like, this movie's not good. And I'm like, how bad could it be? And then, just as the weeks, days started approaching, I'm like, I don't know if I'm that excited for this movie. Yep. Like, I'm just not.
Things started getting weird, and it was the Variety interview or was it GQ or Variety?
I think it was Variety, yeah.
And it was Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix, and everything felt so weird.
It's like they didn't want to be there.
Exactly. Like they knew something was up.
And I know Joaquin Phoenix is a weird dude.
I love Joaquin Phoenix.
We're not disputing that he's a weird dude.
But I love him.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great actor. So, like, and you never really know. Like, is he just kind of like, is this just kind of like his kind of tone that he's setting for this movie? And yeah, it's just really, really weird. And then we saw it, obviously, on different days from each other. And before we get into that, just real quick, Rotten Tomatoes. It's either a very good thing with Rotten Tomatoes where the critics and the audience are aligned. It can be either a really good thing or a really bad thing. And in this case, it's a really bad thing. Critics and audiences alike, 32% on both sides, audience and critics. Nobody likes this movie. I have a theory on why that is as well. And then the box office has been abysmal.
Yeah, I can't. That's the part I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
So the movie was budgeted around $200 million. You know, you typically will double that for marketing. So you're looking at like a $400 to $500 million movie. It made up to this date, October 22nd, 2024, $56 million domestically. Just a shade under $200 million worldwide. It stands to be one of the biggest sequel bombs in history, if not the biggest sequel bomb in history. It stands to be one of Warner Brothers' most, financially lost movies ever. Warner Brothers, obviously a studio that cannot afford this type of disaster, and they've hit one. Its opening weekend under both the Marvels and Morbius. For kind of just perspective, on a movie that, like we said, the first one made $1 billion and will release digitally on October 29th, which is next Tuesday, spelling the end of its theatrical run, which is crazy. Yeah. That being said, this movie, I didn't enjoy it, first and foremost, which I don't think I've ever outright said on here about any movie that we've reviewed, that I just flat out didn't enjoy it. Technically, it is still sound. The performances are good. I think Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix are both really, really good in this movie, but I just didn't enjoy it. And if you'll pardon me to explicit tag this episode for one specific sentence, this movie is a massive fuck you from Todd Phillips to people who just enjoyed that first movie and took certain messaging away from the Arthur Fleck character that he clearly never intended for people to take. And in a lot of respects, it's kind of a fuck you to just people who expected this to be like a comic book movie and a Joker movie, because he clearly was not interested in the character at all. In the sense of like the Joker mythos, as far as like DC Comics go, that was never his intention. And I just don't think he wanted. He just, he made this was a statement movie from Todd Phillips to be like, no, this guy was never meant to be idolized or revered or respected. He is a loser, and he deserves to be treated like a loser. And by the end of the movie, he is a loser, ultimately. And he deserves, he is not this mastermind who is playing the public like a fiddle, when in fact the public is playing him like a fiddle, is what the second movie is about. He is a mascot, essentially. He's a mascot for everyone he comes in contact with, whether it's he's a literal mascot at Arkham Asylum. First of all, for the guards, there's no other way to say it. He's a mascot for them. He gets kicked around. He's tell me a joke, Arthur, yada yada. Like everything that the end of that first movie built up, Todd Phillips deconstructs within the first half hour of this movie, in the sense that like he's this icon, people, he's this magnanimous kind of like charismatic. No, he sucks, and people took that, when he kills Murray at the end of the first one, it's kind of run for a gag in the second one when they're like, oh, tell us a joke, Arthur. Like everything he did in the first movie was for nothing.
No, I look at it from this perspective. It's bouncing off what your perspective was. I'm just going a little further. Would you ever ask Martin Scorsese to make a Goodfellas 2? You're not, outside of the Kill Bills, you're not asking Tarantino to make sequels to his movies. Nolan had a superhero IP. Outside of that, you're not asking him to make sequels, except for me for Tenet 2, but you're not, nobody's going to be like, where's the Prestige 2? Because it's, in a way, it feels almost disrespectful. Like, I made this high cinema thing, so why are you asked, like, You're not gonna ask go make a Passion of the Christ 2. No,
they are making a Passion of the Christ 2.
No, it's a remake. Can I count? Is it blasphemy to call it a remake? But you kind of see my point. Is that
this movie never needed a sequel.
Todd Phillips was probably sitting there like, I got my point across. I did the thing. And I guarantee you that Warner Brothers walked in and like put Bruce Wayne at the end of the movie becoming Batman. He's like, do I have to? And he's like, they're like, yeah, you do have to. And he's like, fine. You got everything out of the first movie. So he's like, why am I even give me money to do something else? I don't want to do this. But then the studio was like, remember that last movie you did that made $1 billion? Go do it again or else. He's like, feels like I'm going to get injured if I don't do the second movie. So it just feels like somebody that does not want to be directing this movie. And I genuinely think Todd Phillips is probably, because what was the thing that he was on some ranch when the opening weekend of the movie? He wasn't even like, he knew what was going to happen. And we kind of agreed. He was like, he intentionally did everything in this movie on purpose to get that reaction.
Yeah. And this movie is it's just boring. Like nothing.
There
like we could talk about the plot, but I don't really want to because it's just nothing happens for 2 hours.
Yep,
it's kind of crazy.
It's such a standstill film because nothing. So what? Let me ask you, what's the goal of a film?
Which goal? The goal of the movie itself, or Todd Phillips' goal?
No, the goal of a movie itself.
Oh, the goal of a movie is to take you on a journey, to tell a story.
Exactly. What's the story of this movie?
I mean, it's literally, this movie could have been the way.
See, not to cut you off, but your struggle to even answer that question was exactly what I needed to know. That's the exact thing I needed to know.
The way the story of this movie goes and the way it's framed, it makes it seem like this movie could have been a 45-minute episode of Law and Order.
Exactly. Well, I'm thinking about like movies like 12 Angry Men, The Trial of the Chicago 7, like films like that. Like you should have made that the whole sell of this movie. It's the trial of Arthur Fleck. Like that should have been the overt sell of this whole movie. Should have been that. And then what you could have restructured was had this. Now you have your new character into this franchise. You have Harley. I don't know why they wanted to take away so badly that she is the psychiatrist and play it as like a aha moment later in the movie. Why not just have her actually be the psychiatrist in this movie so her character goes on a definitive arc? Her character does not change the whole movie. That's the same character. There's no arc for her the whole movie. She's the same exact person. I don't know a character that goes on an arc this movie.
Nobody.
Arthur doesn't. Arthur doesn't change. Arthur's still Arthur. He doesn't change the whole movie.
No, and it's supposed to be this kind of like big, I guess, this big twist moment where he's like, I don't want to be the Joker anymore. Mm-hmm. And like, okay.
But we knew that the whole movie.
Yeah, and like to your point, like if you're going to build this movie it's part musical, part courtroom drama, part, I don't know.
Now say that again.
Part musical, part courtroom drama.
I don't know what Joker movie that I never want to see that's the elements that got me out of the seat.
But the courtroom drama elements don't work because what makes, I'm thinking of, like you said, like to your point, like 12 Angry Men, you're talking about, there've been some great courtroom drama films,
Sense of a Woman, like I'm thinking, like what's the one with Philadelphia with Denzel and Tom Hanks? We still have to do our Denzel and Tom Hanks episode.
I mean, A Few Good Men is obviously like the pinnacle of this, and what makes those movies so good and what makes the courtroom drama, kind of enthralling is you don't know which way it's going to go.
Yep.
With this movie, he's guilty.
Yeah.
There was never a doubt in my mind of how the trial was going to go.
Yeah.
There's never a doubt in my mind that, is he going to, like, I think the scene where he fires his lawyer and Joker's up, I think is the moment where you're supposed to feel like he's going to do something. He's going to
win the people over again.
This is where he becomes the Joker. He's going to do some Joker stuff.
And this movie is weirdly short in that, or not even, because this movie's 220, I think it's like 218 with credits.
It's long. Yeah, it's long.
So that your counterpiece would be the jury itself. Like, nobody on that jury you could have easily thrown one person on that jury was out on that night when he killed Murray Franklin. He went out and nobody on that jury was like, that jury had no soul. They had no life. They had no soul.
I don't think you even see like a shot of them really in the movie.
It's just they turn to them at the end.
And then there's this moment where I think, like I said, there's this moment where he jokers up. He fires his lawyer. He comes into the courtroom the next day, dresses the Joker, and you're supposed to think like this is the moment, right? This is where he turns it up, and then he goes into this weird foghorn leghorn attorney caricature that's not even that funny.
But you want to talk about time wasters? Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we wasting our time with this for? Like, where is this getting us? We know all these things. We know what happened.
Yeah, he has, and then I guess like the big aha moment of the movie, the big cathartic moment of the movie is when Gary Puddles comes in and he tells his story of being terrified of Arthur, and Arthur saying like, I spared you, this, that, and the other thing. And it's supposed to be this moment for Arthur where like he realizes he sucks. Mm-hmm. But he turns it into this like weird foghorn leghorn, like, well, let me tell you something. Mm-hmm. Puddle, like, is that your real name? Like, and it's A, it's not funny. B, it doesn't do anything.
Exactly. That's my issue. It's nothing changed.
No.
And to your point, we already know what's going to happen. We know that he's going to lose. And it's the same thing. We knew he's going to lose the trial. We know something's going to happen at the end to get him out of the situation again.
And, ultimately what happens is, so he has this big moment where like he becomes the Joker again, and he feels pretty good about himself. And then he goes back to Arkham Asylum. He's dressed as the Joker. He says, in the trial, he said all these disparaging things about the guards at Arkham. So he gets back to Arkham as the Joker, and it's implied that they sexually assault him. Mm-hmm. And that moment is where he apparently realizes he doesn't want to be the Joker anymore. I don't. It's like, again, like, this is Todd Phillips literally rebuking the fact that like this character, this man was never meant to be idolized as some sort of hero or anti-hero or otherwise. He is this representation and this symbol of how society just doesn't care about people like Arthur Fleck. Mm-hmm. And he thought, like, everyone in his life and everyone in this movie that he thinks reveres him or cares for him ultimately kicks him in the nuts by the end of this movie. Every single one of them. Right. From Brendan Gleeson, who he had like a decent relationship with, literally is the one who drags him into the bathroom, and the guards, it's implied again that they sexually assault him. Mm-hmm. His attorney gives up on him after she realizes like he sucks. Yeah. The public, the public of Gotham that were kind of like in his corner, turn on him essentially, except for that one guy at the end that rescues him. And Harley turns on him. Yeah. Because it's implied that she never even really gave a shit about him. And I mean, we can shift to Harley for a little bit. Like I said, the performances are great. Good. This movie is technically sound. This movie looks great. It's just character-wise, Harley, that is such a confusing approach to her character that I've seen, because there's no descent. The reason that his character works in the first one is because you literally witness the descent all the way down to the murder. There's no descent for her. She's the same character through and through. The aha, I gotcha moment for her. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, which is the aha moment for her is, and we're spoiling this movie, by the way, because who cares? The aha moment is that it's revealed through Arthur's attorney that Harley was never this crazy inmate who burned her parents' house down. She volunteered to go to Arkham Asylum for like a character study, essentially. Right. Because she does have a background in psychiatry. She is well off. She's rich. And it's implied that she just kind of went there just for a hoot. Yeah. Because she was obsessed with the Joker, but also didn't seem to care that much about him. The ending. See, this is the thing. Remember how days before, like when the press started seeing this movie, everybody was freaking out the ending? I thought it was going to be some trippy musical sequence where like Batman showed up and some like, can I spoil it? Yeah. He just gets stabbed. He gets stabbed at the end by the Joker? But who subsequently we believe will become the actual, in that universe's actual Joker. But who cares? Because none of this matters? It doesn't matter anymore. But like, also to that point, like, the biggest party foul is the way they left off Harley's character. That was the biggest party foul, even further than that. Yeah, what was that? I don't understand what happened to her? Because you're not supposed to, I guess you're supposed to feel something for that scene at the stairwell when Arthur's like, we can be together, and Harley's like, get lost. You're not the Joker. And I'm like, what? I'm just like, again, like, it's a bastardization of the Harley Quinn character in the sense that, like, there's no world where Harley Quinn can be in a movie like this, or not even a movie like this, like any type of movie. You put the Harley Quinn character in a movie, I should not be able to say you can take Harley Quinn out of this movie and the movie doesn't change.
You can replace her with anybody. That
character is built. That character is literally was created in the 90s. That character was literally created to be magnetic. Mm-hmm. So when she's on the screen, she's this tour de force of like unhinged devotion. And then later, obviously, she matures and she, that character goes on a really interesting arc. And exactly. Historically.
And the first part of that is what you need to see in that movie. And like I said, it's the descent to being like, I'm your psychiatrist, but like, why am I falling in love with, like, this doesn't make any sense.
But you know why that doesn't work in this universe? Because he's not charismatic.
No.
That character, like, that...
Well, and it's not Joaquin Phoenix, is it? Right. It's the way that this character... It's, and again, this is Todd Phillips usurping everything from the first movie, because he easily could have tipped the scale to get him there, but he just says, "What? No, this is just a."
He's not supposed to be.
I'm trying to tell you guys something. You guys aren't listening.
He's not supposed to be. And that's the point. Like, you wouldn't be able to do that sell with the Harley character because you couldn't believably get there. Mm-hmm. Like, you couldn't believably get to that character falling for this character because he's just not him. No. He's just not charismatic. He's not, because the Joker, historically in the comics, obviously a psychopath, sociopath, has this magnetism.
Yes.
This charismatic nature to him that draws in his gang, the Joker gang. Yep. It draws in Harley for a long, long time.
Right.
It draws, in a weird way, it draws in Batman.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Joker has this kind of, magnetism to him that Arthur Fleck just does not have, was never meant to have. And I think that courtroom scene is emblematic of that, where you're supposed to think, here he comes. Here's the Joker, the Jokerness.
Because if they fully committed to this movie in the way that, let's try to do everything, to make sure this is the best movie possible, like, you would have been in that courtroom scene, like, that jury you would have had the reaction shots of the jury, like, listening. But like I said, he turns in this, like, not Joaquin himself. The movie dictates that he turn in this weird, like, it's so off-putting. Like, it's like, there's no even, like...
It's not funny.
There's no ironic charisma to it. It's just weird.
Yeah, you can peep the reaction shots of the people in the courtroom. They're like,
yeah,
what is this?
Yeah, this movie's like a check engine light. It's like, something's wrong, but you can leave it for a little bit, but something's up.
And I don't want to go all Heath Ledger about this, but like, if you took the Heath Ledger Joker and ported him into that courtroom scene, right? Just not even throw the script out. It's just the Heath Ledger Joker doing Heath Ledger Joker things in that courtroom. The scene is probably way better.
Right.
Like, because that character is believably charismatic. To the point where people watch The Dark Knight and they're like, and that's how people kind of walked away from the first Joker movie, is they're like, like this guy's making points, and then Todd Phillips was like, whoa. Yeah. No, first of all, he was never supposed to make points. He was supposed to be this symbol of a failed society. And you guys idolized him for that. And now I'm going to kick this character that you guys got behind. Which, I mean, all the power to him, which is fine. Because I also think it was a mistake for people to be idolizing Arthur Fleck and be like, no, he's right. Like, no, he's not right.
Yeah, that was a crazy time. That was insane.
Like, he's not right. So Todd Phillips just took this movie and he took $200 million and was like, I'm going to kick this character for 2.5 hours. And then I'm going to leave him on the floor dead.
Literally on the floor dead.
And then after the movie came out, it was this Todd Phillips being like, he was never the Joker. And I'm like, then why'd you
make the first movie then?
Why'd you call it Joker then? You could have just made this movie about this guy who became a mass murderer.
Because that movie wouldn't have made $1 billion.
Correct. That's it. So I mean,
this movie is, our new trend of our one-word summary of this movie. What's your one-word summary of this movie?
Boring.
Mine is perplexing.
I was going to say confusing. Yeah. Confusing was the other word.
Perplexed by this movie, top to bottom, pre-production, post-production, everything about this movie is, I'm perplexed of every single decision and approach. The only thing I have clarity on, in our opinion, is that Todd Phillips was like, no, why am I here? Why am I making this movie? I did not want to do this.
And we've gone I don't know, 30, 35 minutes talking about this movie. We didn't touch upon the musical aspect of it at all.
That should speak volumes.
And there's a few musical numbers in this.
The mountain one?
The mountain one is good.
That's the best one.
It's Lady Gaga doing... It's the closest she gets to, like, what we thought this movie could have been.
Yep.
Where she, you know, her range goes up, her octaves go up, and she, like, really starts giving it the Lady Gaga. You're like, oh. Mm-hmm. I thought the when he does the Sinatra song in the interview was like the closest he got to like Walk the Line. Joaquin.
It's Walk the Line. That's also the closest he got to the first Joker movie, in my opinion, too. That's like the closest dip back into what I remembered that character from 2019 as.
So I did like that when he does the Sinatra song. I thought that was good. But again, like most of the musical bits in this are largely forgettable. Yeah. And for a movie, whether Todd Phillips wants to admit it's a musical or not, for a movie
that was also crazy that he just would not admit that this movie had music. This is a musical.
It is.
This takes breaks to have musical. That's a musical.
Yeah, it takes breaks to do these, you know, really intricate, really psychologically confusing kind of, which I thought if you would have made the whole movie that could have been really, really cool.
And like I said, what other character better to do it than an established movie franchise that if you're gonna do the second one, what an approach to do a musical.
Like I like the intercuts to like the Joker and Harley, like the talk show, which kind of like dives into his psyche of like how much he attaches to like the Murray Bartlett thing. Like that he's imagining him and Harley having like their own talk show. Like that is a direct kind of like psychological link to what happens at the end of the first one. And I think that's really interesting, but they just don't do anything. Nothing happens with it. I mean, it's teased that she's going to turn on him because in one of those instances she shoots him and he's like, that's not funny. Or like, and that weirdly enough is the closest this movie ever gets to any sort of Joker Harley funness is when she shoots him.
Oh, that might be the best point that you made. That Joker Harley dynamic
doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and it's borderline it doesn't feel like it's needed for a movie that should be a crutch that you lean on.
And it's not earned.
No, it's not at all. And that's why the ending of this movie, not the ending, that's why the Harley ending of this movie is so confusing.
Like she shows up on screen like within the first like 20 minutes and they're like instantly in love.
Right.
And you're like, where did this come from? Like this isn't.
They try to play on it a little bit that Arthur himself, like the women in his life, how closely he attaches themselves to the women because of his mother. Which
is fine.
Sure.
Which works, but like she also weirdly like just falls for him like instantly, which is not historically how the...
So my question, do we know, because I'm trying to remember, do we know if she was obsessed with him out of the gate, like before he got there, or if she was just doing that character study without... Because obviously she wasn't banking on him going to that class.
Right. It's never explained. It's left openly ambiguous whether she actually even cared for him at all. I mean, obviously she didn't care for Arthur, but it's also not very clear whether she was even in on the Joker character or as if she was just doing this as part of like a big psychological study. I think if you build this movie in the sense where the climax of the movie is like, I think this movie in an alternate universe where Todd Phillips actually wanted to make a good movie is the movie is essentially cut A, between the courtroom drama, and B, instead of all these puzzling Arkham Asylum scenes, you make the Arkham Asylum scenes just Joker and Harley interviews. Like you actually make her his psychiatrist.
Exactly.
You actually make her his psychiatrist and you have these scenes where she's trying to first like crack him and, you know, treat him like a patient, and then slowly but surely she starts falling for him because he's this weirdly...
And you fall in love through the song. And some stark, twisted fantasy.
Yeah. And then you intersperse that with the courtroom drama, and you can still do all the stuff at the end where he gets broke. But in this alternate universe, like, he would get broken out, and by the time he gets broken out, he's all in. He's all in as the Joker.
Or if you're going to do this split personality, like, kill Arthur Fleck to become the Joker. And that's it. The Joker has no identity. That's always who I've been.
Yeah. And you can do that and still not have the character be like, quote unquote, idolized. You still make it clear that he's a bad guy. You still make it clear that he's a villain, but make him the Joker.
Right.
And I love that. What you said right then is like the perfect way that you could have done it. And when that explosion happens and he gets knocked to the ground, Arthur Fleck is dead at that moment, and he he's reborn as the Joker, and that's all he ever is, and that's the end of it.
Yep.
And then you conceivably don't even need to see the character ever again.
No.
And you just leave it at that.
Yep.
And I think
the two of them, and like she's fully bought in, like her side, and she goes on his arc from the first movie in a little bit of a different way, and he goes on his his arc from the second movie that he naturally should have went on. It's like that quote that says, that Tarantino talks about, like, I just get my pen to the paper. The characters will lead the pen down the paper.
Yeah. And
like, this movie is a definition of, like, you're trying to, like, it's trying to turn you off the road as much as it can. Manually. Like, that should just be automatic.
That's literally what it is. It's like, Todd Phillips is literally, like, hanging over us, being like, you want to feel this? I'm going to make you feel this. Mm-hmm. You want this character to go this way? I'm going to purposely make him go this way to spite you, essentially. Right. And, my through line with all of these movies that review is asking the question, who is this movie for? And I don't know.
Not for me. It's for you.
It's not for
musical fans.
It's not for musical fans.
Not for comic book movie fans.
It's not for comic book movie fans.
It's not for your average moviegoer either. It's a tough watch for an average moviegoer.
It's not for people who liked the first one.
No.
It's not for people who didn't like the first one.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
this movie's for Todd Phillips and
this movie is for Todd Phillips. Yes. He had. And like I said, in a weird way, I have to respect it.
And that's what I said too. I said, if you're gonna do it, commit to the bit.
Because he's never gonna work for Warner Brothers again.
Absolutely not. He might not work for a while. I have a sick feeling in my stomach that he's done. He might get blackballed. Yeah,
which would be kind of for the guy that made The Hangover and Road Trip and the first Joker movie, like it's I guess this is the only way this could have ended is this guy, he not even went for it. It was just a sense of like, it's so crazy to me that nobody saw it coming. Mm-hmm. Like if this was his intention, maybe maybe he was the Joker all along. Like if
no, the Joker is the friends you make along the way, which subsequently wasn't Harley in this movie for some reason.
If people. Someone at Warner Brothers somewhere read this script and was like, looks great. Like no one read this script and was like...
No, I guarantee you they read the script and they like skimmed through the script. They saw Joker Harley. They said, good, go make another $1 billion. We're worried about we got other stuff to worry about. Go ahead. That's I guarantee you in their mind, they're like, oh, that's a free $1 billion. We don't got to worry. That's a free $1 billion. That's at least like a free $700 million. We're good.
And it also makes sense that, I know people made a lot of the him refusing any type of input from James Gunn or Peter Safran, but it also makes sense because they were probably like, hey man, we're going to try to help you make like a good movie. And Todd Phillips was like, no.
I don't need your help.
I'm not interested in making a good movie. Sorry, guys.
And they were probably also, he probably had a position, like a leverage situation too, where he's like,
they gave him final cut. Warner Brothers gave him final cut of this movie, which, not, peek behind the curtain. That doesn't happen with a lot of, that's like a Scorsese, Nolan, Spielberg type of power.
When you get that B on the dollars, things like that tend to happen for you.
So it was like this perfect recipe for him to do this because no one could tell him no.
Nope.
Like he was going to make this movie. And again, I want to reiterate, he got great performances out of Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix. Mm-hmm. He really, really did. Like the performances across the board are really good. Brendan Gleeson is really good in this movie.
The guy that plays Harvey Dent, he's good in this movie as well.
He becomes Two-Face at the end.
I thought he was just sitting there shocked.
He had like half of his face was like burned from
was it?
The explosion. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was just sitting there like his whole face was just covered in like the dust.
No, like half of his face was like burned and he's Two-Face now. But what Todd Phillips just like threw that in as like an extra, like just fucking.
Well, you know what would have been better if he didn't do it. If he just like the explosion went off and he wiped his face off. He's like, "Oh, I'm okay.
All right.
I'm just Harvey Dent. I'm just a lawyer.
I'm not
a psychopathic killer."
And then, like you said, Arthur gets stabbed at the end. He's left dead in Arkham Asylum and then this other Joker off screen cuts the smile and gives himself the old smile with the knife.
Now, because this is the last thing we'll address. Can everybody relax? I thought this ending of this movie was like the worst thing that ever happened in cinema.
Yeah, no,
people were gassing that ending like it was the worst thing that had ever happened in movie history.
Because people gaslit themselves into being like, this is my Joker, damn it, like, you don't treat him like this, and like, I left it, and I'm like, I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah, but imagine the lives that second Joker saves from him being dead.
Yeah, like, I don't care that Arthur's dead. Like, I wasn't particularly bothered by it.
All my care for that character went out the window.
Yeah. I lost all... I never had sympathy for him, but, like, no. I lost all interest in that character within, like, the first, like, 35 minutes of this movie. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just like, all right, I'm over this. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm over this shtick here, like, of what this character is. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, so I'm glad he's dead. Yeah. And I'm really interested in never returning to this weird not Batman universe ever again.
You should have just made the first one and gave the money elsewhere.
Yeah, and just left it.
Just left it. Very confusing. This is a perplexing film.
I'm done.
I've never been left stunned by, like...
I just left. I got up and I left, and I'm just like, all right, that's it. He's dead. Good. Thank you. Like, again, like I said, and just a massive repudiation of this franchise.
Right.
Franchise, quote unquote, by Todd Phillips. Right. That's what the second movie is he slammed the door on. It's funny, like he really had no interest in the Joker character, so like I feel like he slammed the door on any Joker thing for like years.
Yeah, Barry Keoghan's probably punching air a bit, no?
Yeah.
Or unless they want that specifically to get that taste out of the mouth, and Barry Keoghan's becoming uber famous by the day.
Maybe, so. But I just feel like this.
I just don't think it's for Batman Part 2. I still don't think they're gonna pull on it unless they do your idea where they do the Hannibal Lecter thing, and he's in Arkham, and him and Batman are essentially kind of, working together a bit before he gets broken out by the end.
That'd be kind of cool, but at the same time, like I feel like people are gonna be like jokered out, like they're like
Yeah, especially after Jared Leto, and then this.
Yeah, I mean, he's, I guess we can just end there was this debate for a little while. Ledger, Joaquin, it's over.
Unfortunately, it's over. And it's not Joaquin's fault either.
No, it's not, but it's over. It's over. Yeah.
Cesar Romero?
I would say it's a shame, but it's
Cameron Monaghan.
Pretty good. Not bad. Not a bad Joker.
Channel favorite Cameron Monaghan.
We love Cameron Monaghan here. That's it.
Yeah, I don't even want to give out awards.
This movie doesn't deserve any awards. I mean, any awards that we could give it would be, again, performances. Funniest moment? There wasn't. It wasn't funny.
There wasn't any.
That's the crazy part about it. Like, even like going back, I don't want to keep going back to Ledger's Joker, but like that character is funny.
Yeah. What did he say when he was walking in with the bomb? And somebody asked him a question. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Are you nuts?" Yeah.
Yeah. And old Gamble here.
That little skip that he does when he the first bomb doesn't go off at the hospital and then he hits it. He's like, "Oh God!"
Oh, Gamble here. Won't be able to afford for his grandma. Whatever he says about Gamble's grandma. He's like, "Enough with the clown." He's like, let's not blow things out of proportion here. Like, that character's funny.
But then he gets those little fits of rage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the difference. And then this Joaquin's Joker gets up there in the courtroom and he's just, again...
He turns into Gambit for some reason?
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. And
I'm just like, oh, this is supposed to be like his Joker moment, and he's failing.
Because Arthur's playing.
Yes. Arthur is... He is portraying the idea of the Joker in the way that people think he's supposed to be the Joker.
Because the Joker doesn't exist.
Right.
Am I understanding the movie? Let's get out of here, man. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah, we're gearing up to talk about a good movie next week.
Yeah. Venom Part 3. Noel's in this one.
I think I said last week, like when we were doing all those like fake Joker 2 subtitles, and I think I said Joker 2, the joke's on us. It was.
Yeah, it was.
Joker 2, the joke was on us, actually.
Joker Folia, you idiot.
We were the Folia do all along.
Mm-hmm. Lord.
I'm glad it's over. You know what?
Oh, God.
What?
The fact that Venom is going to be a better movie than Joker was not on my big...
There's a non-zero chance that Venom... At least... There's a non-zero chance that it's an actually better movie. There's a 100% chance it's going to be more enjoyable.
That's what... I mean, the early reviews are saying that this movie slaps a bit.
I didn't think... Going back to Joker quick, like I remember my famous line after the Flash... After we saw The Flash and we reviewed it, my famous line was like, I'm glad it's done. Mm-hmm. I feel the same exact way about this Joker movie. Like, I'm glad it's over. I'm glad the discourse is done. I'm glad this character is dead. I'm glad I just don't have to hear about it anymore. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, because this movie the first one got such, like, this following from people being like, this is the best thing they've ever done because it's so against the grain and fuck society. And I'm like, whoa. Like, so I'm glad that Todd Phillips did this and was like, no, this guy sucks and he deserves to be dead. But yes, we are going to talk about Venom next week. It is out this Thursday,
Friday. Yep.
So we'll try and see it at some point and review it. Yeah, Noel's in this one.
We can't say who plays him yet, but we know.
I think everybody knows, don't they?
No, it's leaked, but... Let's save the surprise for those who don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm glad that they specifically listened to this podcast when we were like, put Nolan at you cowards.
And then they did.
And then the first trailer came out and I'm like, oh no, they're not going to do Nolan, are they?
And then they said full send Nolan. I can't believe that they're going to do Nolan for Spider-Man 4.
I know. And Donny Cates, who the creator of Nolan, was like, he's like, I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty excited for like what they're gonna do with Nolan. I'm like, oh,
because that's what I keep hearing about. Nope, like that's all I'll say.
Yeah, this movie might be fun. This movie's gonna be fun, but this movie might be good.
Did you see Tom Hardy at the premiere? He had like a shirt on. He just had like a polo on. He's like, guys, I'm here. Showed up. Tom Hardy march safe.
I'm looking forward to it.
In a weird way, I'm in now.
See, you came all the way around. I've been on this bandwagon since day one. I think the first one, after the first half hour, is quite fun.
Yeah.
The second one has moments of fun, but I don't think it's as good as the first one.
No, the second one is a post-credit scene. It's a pre-credit scene.
With Carnage.
Carnage. For 4 seconds.
Not you, Father. You, Father.
Maybe one of the greatest jokes in an...
See that? Carnage should not be funnier than the Joker.
Yeah, that's tough.
But he was, for some reason.
Apparently the third act of this movie is just nuts.
Amazing. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Put Michael Keaton in a count. Oh, there's not a zero chance that he's not in this movie.
I don't know how I got here, but I think it has something to do with Spider-Man, though.
How many times are you going to use that? Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton just hosted SNL.
He did. Venom Horse.
Venom Fish.
Venom Fish.
Venom Frog.
Venom Frog is for sure in this.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Who we thought was going to be Noel.
Still wish he was, but the guy who they got.
Yeah. Reese Fonz is going to show up in this.
Who is he?
Who's here?
Who's he? Who's he? Venom.
I can't wait.
Venom. You think Eminem's going to do another song?
I hope so. Venom. It's the third movie of Venom. Toxin is in this, I think.
So what?
Whoever that cop...
I'm in. It doesn't matter. I'm in.
Also, that cop... Like, they teased the cop at the end of the second one to be, like, I guess the main villain of the third one. But now it just appears he's going to be, like, confined to a prison cell being like, the symbiotes are coming!
He was right. That guy was a psycho. He was right.
I have a symbiote in me.
He's the guy that, in all the DC comics, holds up the sign that says, the end is nigh. He's that guy.
I have toxin.
And the end was nigh. The end was actually nigh.
I have toxin in me. Not a toxin. Toxin from Marvel Comics is inside me.
What? We gotta go, man.
Are they gonna put another symbiote in this? Like a named one?
No.
They're not gonna put in what's my guy's name?
Cut it out.
Kurt, whatever the centaur name is. Marcus. No, you're telling me they put a Venom horse in this, but not putting in Marcus, the symbiote centaur vampire?
Oh, maybe that's who Tom Holland's going to play in the Nolan movie. Marcus, the Centaur. I knew Nolan would do a Marvel thing eventually.
Is Extremio going to be in this?
No.
I can't wait. I can't wait for this movie. It's so dumb, but this movie, I'm not going to have to ask next week when we review this, who is this movie for? It's for me, specifically. This movie is
You're going to
for.
leave the tag for Rob at the end?
Apparently there's 2 post-credit scenes, and one of them is like the most perplexing post-credit scene in history.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I hope it's Michael Keaton again.
Yeah, they just do the same thing again.
Morbius?
No. So they say perplexing, like...
Okay. Thanos?
That would be hilarious.
he picks up the Necro sword. Fine, I'll do it myself.
No,
Noel does that at the end. It's just a shot-for-shot redo of the Age of Ultron post-credit scene.
I can't believe that Sony had the balls. I can't believe it. And they're going to make Spider-Man 4... Because Tom Hardy's going to be in Spider-Man 4, yes?
Yeah, probably. Because he said he's done with Venom.
Yeah. He said specifically, what did he say? I'm done making
Venom movies,
but I'd play the character again.
You're going to play the character again, my guy.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige's like...
Kevin Feige's like, thank God for another $1 billion.
He said, I'll let you do Spider-Man. I'll let you guys have a Spider-Man 4 if you could get Noel in by the 3rd Venom movie. And Sony said, challenge accepted.
Kevin Feige's probably like, they'll never do that, right? And then they did the trailer.
They submitted the script.
And he's like, they'll never do that, right?
Does this say Noel is in this?
Does it say Noel?
Yeah, it does.
Spider-Man 4, Attack of the Knolls.
Spider-Man 4, Noel's in this one.
Noel's in this one.
Noel's the villain.
Noel's the villain. They gotta start doing movie titles like that. Cowards.
Yeah. None of this Foley do nonsense.
Yeah.
Venom 3. No.
Venom 3, I know he's in this.
They did do that with the second one, though. Let There Be Carnage is as close as you can get to that actually happening. This is the Fast and Furious of superhero movies.
Yeah, it really is. But they don't have like is Venom the Dom Toretto in this, where he's the one that's all about family?
Yes! That's the whole second movie's about.
Yeah, it is. I can't wait.
Venom 3, Venom's got a gambling addiction.
Yeah. Weird.
It's great.
Mrs. Chen's has a dance number?
Venom also has a dance number?
I don't understand.
Venom 3, better musical than Joker 2?
Cut it out.
Alright, man. Let's get out of here. You can follow us on Twitter at ProjectINF_pod. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/Project Infinite Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram
at the Project Infinite Pod.
Next week, Venom 3, The Last Dance.
What a name.
I'm excited, man. But I tell you, I have the complete opposite thought from this movie that I did about Joker 2, where I'm like, I'm excited for this one.
Because they know what type of movie they're making.
Yeah, it's going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be absurd.
Tom Hardy's doing a voice.
Yep.
Multiple voices.
Where's he from?
Eddie Brock? I don't know. He's from New Los Angeles, York.
Florida.
Of Miami-Dade County. Where are all y'all from?
Where are all y'all from?
In the Sony universe.
No, where are all y'all from in the Tom Hardy universe? Where are all y'all from? What were you doing in the Bike Riders?
What was he doing? Riz Ahmed was in this franchise?
Yeah, he was.
Damn. Alright, let's get out of here. From me, oh man.
Careful.
Oh no.
You gotta be real careful, man.
Who's like the least worst character in this movie? The Harvey Dent of the podcast.
Then I got half my face blown off.
Yeah, but no one has to worry about it afterwards.
Okay.
It'll never get revisited. So
okay, perfect.
Good lawyer, that Harvey Dent.
Yeah, he was cooking. He
did not give one single fuck about the Joker.
No.
He's like, schizophrenic. This guy's a lunatic.
Yeah, this guy's crazy.
Joker's lawyer was like, he needs help. And Harvey Dent was like, he needs to be executed.
And the people were like, you know what? Yeah. Yeah.
He needs mental help. And Harvey Dent was like, he needs to be put in a box. Permanently.
And then he was.
Yeah, he was.
By the second Joker. Oh, do they need to do one more? They need to do one more where that Joker gets killed, and then they can do the 3 Joker story.
With one Joker that we know and 2 Jokers that were anonymous off screen.
See, having Noel in this movie is kind of like having Batman Who Laughs in like a Tim Drake-led movie trilogy.
Oh, man.
Insane.
I thought when that bomb exploded in the courthouse, I thought they were going to do like the Dark Knight Joker thing where all the Jokers kill each other until the last Joker gets away. But then he just like, they put him in a car and he was just like,
holy crap, dude, you're the Joker.
He's like, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not. I'm
Arthur Fleck. Bye.
Goodbye. My girlfriend's waiting at the top of the famous stairs.
Then he gets chased by bigger Joker. Remember when we saw that in the trailer? We're like, is he like having like a psychotic breakdown? No, he was just being chased by bigger Joker.
Yeah, that guy's a unit. That guy needs to play for like the Ravens or something. That guy's like
he just got chased by bigger Joker.
Right.
And then escaped? No, and then he got arrested.
Yeah, he did get arrested.
He got thrown. That was. He just gets arrested.
Yeah.
He just gets caught by the police.
It's almost as funny as an arrest as the Thanos getting taken in by the NYPD. MCU, you cowards and death that.
He just staged. Well, I guess he didn't stage the escape, but like this big elaborate escape. He escapes through like the alleyways in New York. He meets up with Harley, and then the cops just arrest him again. And then he gets stabbed and dies. That's how the movie ends. That's the last 15 minutes of this movie.
Harley literally disappears into the sunset.
She goes up the stairs instead of down the stairs. Did you catch that symbolism?
She went to heaven.
She ascended from the madness. We're all mad here. Who's here?
Who's here? Secret Invasion, the best Marvel show there's ever been.
That really does happen in the last like 20 minutes. He escapes, realizes, well, he already realized he didn't want to be the Joker anymore.
They wasted all that money on the IMAX cameras.
He dives out of the taxi.
Yep.
He meets up with Harley. She's like, get lost. You suck. And then he just gets arrested. And then he gets stabbed to death. It's the best ending, actually.
It's so stupid.
Why do people think that ending sucked? I thought that ending was great. He's just going to get arrested. And then the guy was like... Also, that joke wasn't even that funny. The joke that the new Joker says at the end when he was like... A Joker and a fraud walk into a bar and then the Joker gets stabbed. LOL.
Imagine there was a guard there who's like... let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
God.
I've had enough.
Joker fully adieu.
The joke was on us the whole time. Thanks, Todd Phillips. I used my free ticket though on it, so I didn't lose out.
Same, I also had my free ticket.
Yeah, so
shout out Cinemark. Thank you for free tickets. The best bang for your buck. This isn't a Cinemark promo. Best bang for your buck.
I also saw it at like noon, so I didn't even lose
I also saw it early. I saw it early too.
I didn't lose my day.
Yeah.
I didn't lose any money. I think I just got like a bottle of water. And that was
that movie didn't dictate popcorn.
No. It was just a bottle of water, and I just sat there for 2 hours just with utter befuddlement and confusion.
Mm-hmm.
The way you want to leave a movie.
That was the most Aronofsky quote I've ever heard.
It was me and there were like 3 other people like behind me.
Yeah, that was the opening weekend, and there was people were just.
And I was in the big theater. I was in the XD theater.
People were just.
That was the emptiest I'd ever seen that theater.
Yeah,
I didn't think it could be any emptier than when we went to see the Marvels, but it was actually emptier than that.
Yeah, crazy.
At least we have Venom next week. Venom. It's the 3rd Venom. Noel's in this Venom movie.
I can't believe they put Nolan in that movie. You psychopaths. I can't believe it.
All right. We'll see you next week for Venom 3, The Last Dance. Until then, goodbye.
Peace.